Okay. Okay. I want you to notice in section 3.4. Where's my marker? There it is. You may or may not notice in section 3.4, can somebody look in section 3? You're near 3.4 right now, right? What is section 3.4 called? Okay, velocity and other rates of change. 3.4 is not just about object motion. Section 3.4 is actually about probably the primary application in AP Calculus, which is object motion, and other rates of change. One of the problems that you had for homework, I believe, a couple nights ago was draining a tank. The number of gallons of water in a tank, T minutes after the tank has started to drain, this is question number 8 on 136, is Q of T equals 200 times 30 minus T quantity squared. How fast is the water running out at the end of 10 minutes? Calculus does not have to be used, the rates of change do not have to only be used in object motion. They can be used for anything that's changing. Think of something, anything that changes. Well, yeah, but I mean more specifically things like the position of an object changes as it moves. What other things change? Your cell phones. You know what? As you use your cell phone, what happens to the battery? The temperature of it changes. So we could model the temperature of your cell phone battery or of your cell phone, and we could watch it increase with greater usage. Same thing with computers. How about a cup of tea, hot tea, or a cup of coffee, or a cold soda sitting on the table? What would happen to a cold soda sitting on a table in a hot room over time? It would warm up. Its temperature would increase. What would happen to a cup of coffee? A hot cup of coffee sitting in a room. It would cool down. Its temperature would decrease. These are things with qualities that are changing. Does that make sense? And if something has a quality that changes, then it has a rate of change. Okay? Your hair, the length of your hair changes. Right? At a very low rate, but nonetheless, the length of your hair changes. And so there is a rate of change in the length of your hair. Well, yeah, but still, isn't the hair, the actual hair, not the weave, isn't the actual hair from the head still changing? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Nonetheless, it's changing. And if you measured in millimeters, or what if you measured it in micrometers? Then you could do it in much larger numbers. Right? So that's what I'm talking about. And think about other things about your body that change. The moisture level. Now, I'm not sure how to measure a moisture level in your skin, but the moisture level of your skin changes depending on the time of year, depending on the time of day, depending on how hydrated you are. Okay, the percentage of water in your body, the percentage of water in your skin. All these things change. Your ability to see changes over time. Okay? So when you start to think about all the things around you that are changing, you can then start to think about the fact that they have a rate of change. Okay? And because all of these things have a rate of change, they all have derivatives. They all have ways of understanding whether their values are increasing or their values are decreasing. What is the slope of the temperature of a hot cup of coffee sitting in a cold room? It's a negative slope. The temperature has a negative slope. So its derivative has a negative value. That's right. How would you cause the coffee's derivative to have a positive value? Put it in the microwave. There you go. or put it in a really, really hot, some other hot place, like an oven or something. Yeah. But I mean, the most obvious place would be a microwave. Okay? The most obvious place would be a microwave. Okay? So now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about economics. We're going to talk about, in particular, we're going to talk about the most important function in all of business. And is anybody in here interested in going into business? I'm just curious. Business? Okay. Possibly business. Your parents would know this very well. Now, I don't know if they would call it what I'm about to call it, but they know this. Some people just understand it. They don't have to know what it's called. They just understand it. Okay? But there's one word I guarantee your parents know, and that word is profit. Your parents know the word profit. Okay? Business owners know the word profit. Managers, listen, not all managers know the word profit. They know revenue. That's right. A lot of managers, they only know the word revenue. But they have no idea what profit means. All they see is money coming in, money coming in, money coming in. They never see, or they might not look at the money going out. And a business owner, they love seeing the money coming in, but let me tell you something. I guarantee you business owners, if they don't spend just as much time thinking about the money going out, they spend more time thinking about the money going out. They love seeing the money coming in, but a lot of times all they can think about, well, that's going to cost $300. Oh, we don't want to buy that. Your parents ever talk about this? I don't know. Somebody says, yeah, let's buy a new one of those. Well, how much is that going to cost? That's right. Well, how much is that going to cost? Somebody comes in and says, hi, I want a raise. A raise to an employee is a cost to a business owner. So when somebody says, hey, I'd like to get 50 cents more an hour, they're thinking, I'm getting more money. The business owner is thinking, I'm getting less money because now I have to give more money to you. Okay, so profit. And just know this. If you wind up in a business class or an economics class, you've got to understand this basic equation. It's so simple. It's just a basic equation. Profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Yeah, but we say the word cost. The general term we use is cost. Cost includes expenses. Expenses are often considered to be a specific kind of cost. There are lots of different kinds of costs. One of them is expenses. Yes, sir? Yes. This is all the money that goes into the cash register when people pay you. This is all the money that you pay other people. That's it. And if you pay out less money than other people pay in, profit is positive, right? Which is a good thing. When profit is not positive, we don't call it profit. We call it loss. Which is, if you've ever heard of what is called a profit and loss statement in a business, or a P&L statement, P&L. A P&L statement is like bread and butter financial statement for a business. You want to know what your profits, whether you had a profit or a loss, or whether you had a profit in a particular business or a loss in another particular business. Some businesses are a conglomeration of 27 different businesses, and 14 of them are profiting, and 13 of them are showing a loss, and hopefully the profits outweigh the losses. Okay? So this is how business was. But everything, when businesses start talking about, yeah, but we gotta give back to the community, and we gotta be involved with stuff, and we gotta be concerned about unions, and we gotta be concerned about all this stuff. Sometimes managers get tied up, their brains get tied up. They think that this formula is bigger than it really is. But at the end of the day, everything finally comes down to a very, very simple basic formula. You will have profit if your revenues are bigger than your costs, and you will have a loss if your revenues are smaller than your costs. And then a lot of businesses focus so much on this side of it, they want to make this as small as possible. They don't consider the possibility. What's the smallest you can make your costs? Zero. What's the highest you can make your revenues? That's exactly right, unlimited. So which of those two is probably better to, and I'm not saying ignore costs. I'm just saying that when you focus your efforts on something that is unlimited rather than on something that is limited, you will make this much bigger than it will ever be. Okay? So here's the thing that we want to know. We want to understand what happens to profit when revenues go up a little bit or when costs go up a little bit. or down a little bit for that matter, okay? When we consider, well, let's say that a company says, well, you know, let's say they build houses. Let's say a company builds houses. They're going to build 10 houses this year. And there's going to be a cost for building those 10 houses, and then they're going to get money for selling those 10 houses. And then they think to themselves, what if instead of building 10 houses, what if we build 11? What if we build, ours goes up to 11? Yeah. Has anybody ever seen, this is Spinal Tap? Yeah. So he says his amp, most amps go up to 10, ours go up to 11. So when we want that extra jolt, the power, we turn it up to 11. Okay, so what if we... It is a good movie, isn't it? It's really good. It's awesome. What's that? Yeah, is it your dad's favorite movie? Or just one of his movies? Yeah. It's such a great movie, yeah. All right, so look. What if they said, look, what if we build 11 houses instead of 10 houses? Okay? What would we call... See, the way we determine revenue, how do we determine revenue? Let's say we sell something for $5 each. How much money would we put in the cash register? 5 times however many you sell, which we call quantity. Okay? So revenue is a product of quantity. How do we determine how much cost? There's 2 kinds of costs. There's fixed cost and variable cost. We're going to ignore fixed cost for now. Variable cost. If it costs me $3 each to make, how much total cost will I have? 3 times whatever quantity is, right? So cost is also a function of quantity, right? If revenue is a function of quantity and cost is a function of quantity, then that must mean that profit is also a function of quantity. And for profit, we're going to use a capital letter pi. Anybody have an idea why we wouldn't use a capital letter P? Yes. P stands for price in economics. Now, you'll see in these textbooks, they'll use P for profit. But I don't use P for profit because I have a degree in economics, and I understand that the letter P is used for price. Q is quantity, P is price, R is revenue, C is cost, and capital pi is profit. Never even heard of capital pi. So, yeah, that's why you want a piece of the pie, right? Yeah. What was that? 3.141592. Yep. Is a mathematical constant. Yep. What's that? Oh, yes. It has capitals, and here's a capital delta. Here's a lowercase delta. Here's a capital sigma. Here's a lowercase sigma.
With the little thing in there,
Yep.
What's the lowercase?
Oh, what's that? It looks very similar, doesn't it? Yeah. This is lowercase pi. I mean, it's a lot. Think of a letter. We have letters in our alphabet that look the same, big or small, right? Yeah, S. So this is capital S, this is lowercase s. There you go. Pi, pi. Yeah. P actually is very similar also. It's just that, look, we don't have any, if we had these, this would be capital pi and this would be lowercase pi. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's say we're thinking about building one more house. That is an incremental change in quantity. Wouldn't you agree? So we could say that that is DQ. Dairy Queen, yeah.
So derivative of quantity?
Yes. So if we want to know what our incremental change in profit is, it would be d pi over dq. It's the derivative of profit. It's the derivative of profit. Okay? If we wanted to know what our and what they call this in economics, the word is marginal. Marginal means what little more for one more. So marginal profit would be what little more profit would we get for what? For one more house. And if you make and sell bikes, it would be what little more profit would we get if we make and sell one more bike? You know, I'm a teacher, right? And I also I tutor. I get paid to tutor from time to time. Sometimes people find me and they say, my son needs help with math. Can you help him out? I can't do this with my students because it's unethical. But there are others. That would be terrible. No. What if I make the class extra hard for you so that you need more tutoring? Or what if you pay me $100 an hour for tutoring, but by the way, can you give me a heads up on the questions that are going to be in the test coming up? Yeah. It's almost like people are paying me for a grade. I do not take money from my students. No. Yeah. It's unethical. It's not illegal. It's unethical. Okay, so it's unethical by the Georgia Ethics Commission or whatever. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain marginal?
Yeah, so marginal basically means the change in whatever. So marginal profit would be the change in profit for a one increase in quantity. Okay, it's the change in profit for the change in quantity.
Similar to
It is a derivative. Marginal anything in economics is a derivative. This is, in economics, their way of saying derivative is marginal. Okay, so the marginal profit is the little bit of extra profit we would get from making and selling one more. The marginal revenue would be the little bit of extra revenue we get by making and selling one more. And the marginal cost would be the additional cost we have to pay out for making and selling one more. Okay? So marginal profit is profit prime. Marginal profit is the derivative of profit prime. Marginal revenue is revenue prime.
Wait, so what was the D pi over?
That's the derivative of profit, right?
So that's that.
That's
Yes.
just the notation.
Yes, correct.
Just the notation.
Yeah. And R prime of Q would be DQ. Change in revenue for an incremental change in quantity.
So that's the derivative of profit?
This is the derivative of revenue,
And what's the other one?
which we call marginal revenue.
That's a derivative of profit.
Oh, okay.
And this is marginal profit. Okay? And this would be, C prime of Q would be marginal cost. Now, if profit equals revenue minus cost, what is marginal profit equal to? Marginal revenue minus marginal cost. Okay? And probably the most important question that business owners want to understand is, how do we achieve maximum profit? If this is the profit curve, this is profit, we want maximum profit. Because if you, I don't know if y'all know this, if you produce too much, you'll actually start losing money. Because your costs will go out of control and your revenues will not keep up with your costs that go out of control. Okay? Well, it's all related to supply and demand. That's correct. So now the question is, how do you identify maximum profit? You find out where the slope of profit equals 0. And what is the slope of profit? The velocity, yeah, I like this. The velocity of profit. But what do we call, you guys can go, what do we call the velocity of profit? Marginal profit, that's exactly right. The velocity of profit is marginal profit. I like that though, the velocity of profit. Did you know that there is, you may not know this, Dorothy, in macroeconomics there is a variable called the velocity of money. Yeah, velocity of money is a very, very important, and the velocity of money has increased significantly since the internet. All right, so look at this. If we want to know where the slope of profit equals 0, we take the velocity of profit, marginal profit, and what do we do with it? Set it equal to 0, right? So we set this equal to 0. So we want to know where marginal revenue minus marginal cost is equal to 0. Well, can we do anything about this algebraically? What? What can we do? Add marginal cost to both sides. If we add C prime of Q to both sides, what we now have is maximum profit occurs where what happens?
Marginal revenue equals marginal profit.
There you go. Where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost.
And this is the equation for maximum profit.
Mm-hmm. Wherever marginal, and we by the way, we generally don't write R prime. You can write R prime. Instead, we typically write MR, marginal revenue, and MC, marginal cost.
Okay.
It's just just another notation. C prime is marginal cost, abbreviated MC. R prime, the derivative of revenue, is marginal revenue, abbreviated MR. Okay?
So that's
When marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost,
the maximum profit.
the slope of profit is 0.
Would marginal profit be NP?
No, I guess you could say M pi, but all I've ever seen for marginal profit, either they just write marginal profit or profit prime. Profit prime equals 0 when marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So, if you want to identify the maximum what is called the profit maximizing quantity, your business wants to make a decision. How many should we make so that we make the most profit? We don't want to make too few, and we don't want to make too many. If we make too many, our costs go through the roof, and now we're actually not making as much money, and we'd have more headaches. Okay? We want that sweet quantity right there that's going to give us the most profit. And then we want to stop right there. I mean, maybe in the long run, we might want to expand. In the long run, we might buy more machines, buy more trucks, open another location. But in the short run, we want to know what our best quantity is to make the most profit. And that's where the slope of profit equals 0, and that's where marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal. The questions I gave you on that worksheet, and there are about 5 questions in the textbook. I will probably, on the quiz I give you, make them almost exactly like them. I'm not going to stray very far on this one because it's a little too heady. It's really conceptual. Economics can be highly conceptual. This is for now. When you get to, this is about all you need for undergrad. If you wanted to get a graduate degree in economics or business, you would go a lot deeper than this. But this is about as much as you need. So Friday's quiz is going to be on what we learned the other day. It's going to be on maximum velocity, minimum acceleration, farthest right, farthest left, total distance traveled, that kind of stuff.
There's a D word. No.
Displacement, which is change in position.
That